Hi, Libra Sun and Rising. Welcome to your December 2021 Astro Update. So, December, last month of 2021, how has the year been for you? This is going to be quite a finale because we have a lot going on, including the last eclipse in Sagittarius. And we've been having these Gemini Sag eclipses for the last year and a half. We've had the north and south nodes in the same signs because they're connected like that. And recently we have had the first eclipse in Taurus, kicking off that new cycle between Taurus and Scorpio. And this fell in your eighth house. So you might even be feeling the effects of this in December, as December rolls along. So on the first of the month, Neptune goes direct, and Neptune has been its own sign of Pisces for the past almost dozen years. And when a planet is in its own sign, it's going to really manifest in that concentrated way, what that represents. Neptune in Pisces is affecting, in your particular chart, the sixth house of work. So how this can play out for somebody like you, or has played out since perhaps 2012. And remember, whether this is your sun or rising sign, this is going to be more of a general reading than something specific, because obviously everybody has a different chart depending on your time of birth or depending on degree of your sun sign. So, these dates that I'm giving, it might not be exactly when it happened for you, but let's just say in the past 11 years, you may have found yourself gravitating towards a spiritual type of work service that you're offering. And this is because the sixth house deals with your service to others. And also on a somewhat related level, but maybe in a different vein, you may be feeling more altruistic when it comes to the work that you do. So in other words, sometimes people, and the sixth house is the work itself. The 10th house is your career and your status. So it's more, you could say that is more ego-based just on its face, the 10th house. But the sixth house can also sometimes become self-serving or service to self rather than service to others, because people begin to think about money. So greed creeps into it. How much money am I making? Oh, I don't want to do this. There's no money in this. I don't want to teach kids in the inner city because there's no money in that. I'm going to go and work on Wall Street or something. It's, there can be that aspect even in the sixth house. And that might have been something where you changed your tune and you became more wanting a spiritual type of lifestyle and things like that. And the work that you do just kind of reflects that. The sixth house is also health. And if you have had any kind of mysterious health issues, you may have gotten some kind of answers, because when Neptune goes retrograde, the illusion is kind of, what do you call it? Like kind of brought out. However, it can be disillusionment too. So Neptune, health-wise, in the sixth house can be ignoring your health. Maybe drugs. Neptune can be drugs. And the sixth house is, to me, very holistic. I don't know. I kind of impose that upon the sixth house because it's Virgo's domain. And Virgo is an earth sign, and earth, we think of herbs rather than, pharmaceuticals. But Neptune can be anything that can even cloud the judgment and things like that. And so that may impact if you have taken drugs that have impacted your health in any way, or addictions can be associated with Neptune, and that can impact the health. So maybe you have gotten help for that when Neptune has gone retrograde, or at least been out of denial that you had this going on. So Neptune's going direct, and this can be good for also creative pursuits. Neptune can be very inspirational and associated with the arts. Or maybe you've gotten your answers and now you can move forward. On the 4th, we have a solar eclipse. And also, too, when Neptune is transiting that house, there can be like issues with coworkers. So like maybe people that are not on the up and up, kind of talking smack behind your back. I don't want to make you paranoid, but things like that. And then you uncover that in the last 5 months. Oh yeah. Oh, that person was acting like my friend, and I realized they were like kind of a mole or something like that. On the 4th, we have that solar eclipse, 12 degrees of Sag, and Sag is a friendly angle to you called a sextile. It's coming from the 3rd house. So this is your mind. And being a Libra and an air sign, your mind might be quite important to you. You might really rely on your mind to navigate the world. But Eckhart Tolle, I think, is technically an Aquarius, another air sign. And he, it's interesting. I think air signs gravitate towards Buddhism, and he seems to be oriented in that kind of vein because they love talking about thoughts. Thoughts are very front and center with air signs, but thoughts can be like your main tormentor or torturer, because air signs can get very much in their heads. And this is probably why in the tarot, the swords represent conflict, because even though it's about communication, whether you're communicating to others or others are communicating about you, or you're communicating to your own self, your inner thoughts, they can be a weapon used against you. You using it against yourself, in other words. So that kind of thing can lend itself to somebody who is not necessarily coming from a place of really, really wanting to transcend that. In other words, clinging to one's thoughts. The solar eclipse can bring this front and center to you to see how your thoughts are affecting you, maybe adversely. And it's very interesting because there can be this tendency, but the solar eclipse can even bring opportunities. I think that the solar eclipse can bring opportunities because it's a powerful new moon. So if you are in anything, and you probably are, if you're a Libra, that has to do with sales or teaching or learning or the media, the 3rd house can be the media, the internet. This can be giving you more, planting the seeds for more opportunities in this area. Maybe you're going freelance, and then you're just letting people know that you are available whenever, wherever. But definitely don't shy away from any thoughts that you have, insights that you have that kind of shake things up. This can also involve your siblings too, because 3rd house can be that. And aunts and uncles, cousins. On the 13th, we have 2 transits going on here to talk about. Mars going into Sagittarius. This is a big area for you, the 3rd house. And Mercury going into Capricorn on the same day. So that's an angular house, the 4th house. Oh, okay. Well, that certainly looks like something to do with family business. Like an inheritance, for instance. I was just talking about the 8th house, was I not? What was the transit that I was talking about here? Oh my goodness, your eighth house would be Taurus. Oh yeah, the eclipse from November, the one that we just had in Taurus. That was in your eighth house and it was a lunar eclipse. So whether it was somebody who passed and now there's a will, somebody, whether they passed now or in the recent past, that the will, the money, their money becomes a bone of contention, perhaps, because Mars can be on the war path. Mars is the god of war. Somebody was telling me, and I think this is Vedic astrology, somebody just wrote on my channel that Mars is going to become visible in December. And I think I hear that about planets becoming visible. I think that's a Vedic thing. And I don't really know exactly what that means. But yeah, so that could lead to you fighting with siblings. Now, I'm sure there are some Libra people right now who are listening to this and breaking out into hives and thinking, I don't want to fight. What's that thing? I'm a lover, not a fighter. Michael Jackson said that in a song. But that is something that is one way or the other. You might not be the one, but somebody might be trying to bait you. You might be seeing red. And by the way, you might be a Libra, let's say like a Libra sun sign, and you have Mars in Scorpio. You have your natal Mars in Scorpio. You might have that fierceness, and you could be a Libra rising and have and somebody who has a Libra sun or rising could have the moon in Scorpio. I'm saying Scorpio in particular because Scorpio is one of those signs that, or Aries, that both of them are ruled by Mars. And Pluto is also the ruler of Scorpio. But that fight that is within them could be your fight. You may have this aggressive edge to you that is not always apparent, but under certain circumstances may come out to play. And Mars can simply mean enthusiasm or activity in this area. You might be like getting involved with something civically, and you're just throwing yourself into it. Perhaps there's just more activity with your siblings. It doesn't have to be bad necessarily. It could be very adventurous, or you decide to take up some, like walking around your neighborhood. The third house can be your local area. Maybe you're doing some kind of power walking, I don't know, around the neighborhood. On the same day with Mercury going into your fourth house, though, that could be having communications with your mother or family of origin, more consistently during this time frame. And that's why I'm saying it could be some kind of negotiation. It could be a contract for a house. So maybe with Mars in the third house, you're walking through local areas, seeing if you like that area because you plan to move. So it could be something in that vein if you are thinking about moving, and Mercury could be a contract. Something could come into play here, though, because we're going to have a Venus retrograde. I'll get to that. And we're also going to have, I believe the Mercury retrograde in January is going to be in Capricorn. So you're going to have some stuff that is kind of being revisited in the fourth house. So you might want to, if you really do have something like a contract, you might want to do it in December, or even with Venus in its shadow period. Unless it's something that you think you like. Venus is your ruler, so you might be very tuned into Venus type of topics, and Venus is about beauty. So if you buy a house and you think, oh my gosh, and it's beautiful, and then you decide it's ugly, that's going to be a problem because you've already gone through all the rigmarole. And that's kind of a high stakes purchase. So it depends, though. I don't want to make too much of this, especially since it's only in the shadow period. But you might get a good deal, actually, on how house matters when Venus does technically go retrograde. So on the 18th, we have a full moon at 27 degrees of Gemini, a fellow air sign, and this is coming from that ninth house. So full moon in the ninth house, you might be getting some kind of degree. Yes, you can get degrees in December. You can graduate college in December. I did. I went back to school in my 30s and then and graduated in my early 40s. So you can do things like that. You don't have to graduate in your 20s. You don't have to graduate at all, by the way, either, if you don't want to. And it probably is a pretty smart idea these days. Although some people want to be a teacher or a doctor or something that requires credentials. And then obviously you have to get that piece of paper. But I graduated in December, and then in January, Capricorn, Pluto went into Capricorn, and the economy collapsed, not surprisingly, right around that time. And all of a sudden, having a college degree wasn't such a, wasn't something, it was like, there were a lot of people with college degrees. That's all, that can be a trap. So do it if you want to, don't if you don't want to, but you might be graduating. So congratulations. Also, you might be finishing a trip because the ninth house can be long distance travels. Now you could be finalizing a trip. So you're getting all your ducks in a row. That's a possibility. And publishing, something to do with publishing. This is also the God house. I'm saying all these other things, but first and foremost, this is Sagittarius's house. And if I were to characterize Sag as anything, it's about the meaning of life. Philosophy is the ninth house. I'm a sun in Sagittarius. And even before I really got into astrology or metaphysics, I was always somebody that was, I think, connected to God. I went to church. And even if I wasn't connecting to God through church per se, I enjoyed that ritual of going to church. And that's just probably that feeling of, there's more to life than the mundane, get up, go to work and all those things. There's something beyond it. We're here for a reason. And this may be something that is a spiritual download to you, this full moon. Full moons are supposed to be very intuitive. And the ninth house is a place of that kind of thing. It welcomes that kind of way of looking at life. So see a pattern here? We have the solar eclipse and that stuff happening in the third house, which is, opposite the ninth. That's Gemini's domain. And that's mundane. That is mundane knowledge. So what could be happening here, Libra, is that you're realizing the importance of wisdom over knowledge. And that's what I was really getting at when I was talking about your mind. The mind can only take us so far. The mind can turn on us on a dime, at a moment's notice, because it doesn't give us that sense of something beyond this world. It gives us a sense of navigating this world. I'm not saying that the mind is completely worthless, but we have to put it in its proper perspective. And if we try to make it out to be something that it's not, it's going to be problematic, to say the least. So, yeah. That's very interesting. Okay, so on the 19th, your ruler Venus goes retrograde at 26 degrees of Capricorn. By the way, 26 reduces to an 8. And in numerology, an 8 is a number of worldly power. So even, because Venus can be about money, so there can be a strong link with money to this. But also, so even when it's retrograde, sometimes it can be psychological or spiritual kind of review, and the person feeling very like they are pursuing something at that level of high attainment. And so looking at it, that was kind of gibberish, wasn't it? I kind of lost my train of thought. Basically, what I'm saying is that, and I'm not going to edit this out either. Basically, what I'm saying is that retrogrades can sometimes have an interior effect where you're kind of doing that soul searching, dependent on what the planet is, what house it's in. And yet, this could have an actual monetary benefit, regardless, even though it's retrograding. In other words, money that maybe you put out energy that is coming back to you in some way. Now, since this is Capricorn, we are talking about that fourth house. And so maybe there was a property that you thought you couldn't afford, and now the price has come down. Or somehow something fell through, and now you get an opportunity to get it. Yeah, I think Venus retrograde can mean nice sales. And Venus is going to be in Capricorn until March. So this is a long ass transit for sure. So there's a lot going on. By the way, I mean, if you are traveling overseas, maybe to your homeland, because the fourth house can be your homeland, you might reignite something with somebody from your past. The Venus retrograde in any house, in and of itself, Venus retrograde can mean some kind of ex coming back into your life. So just be aware of that too. But maybe it's even like downsizing, especially if you're towards retirement age, pushing 60 or 65. You might be like, do I really need this McMansion? Because Libras tend to, I was going to say be materialistic. What I really mean is they tend to enjoy having the finer things in life. We don't have to make it into something bad, but it can lead to being possessed by your possessions. And like I said, if you are being more altruistic, with your work, like you're more sacrificial, more interested in doing things for the benefit of others than for what it gives yourself, and so you're not you don't care about money as much, or it's just the type of work that you're doing doesn't generate that type of income necessarily, you could be looking at your expenses, looking at your environment and saying, do I really need this? And that would be like awesome. So this may be a great time to start to simplify your life, what they call minimalism. And Libra people can have, I'm talking about sun specifically. If this is for your rising sign, you could have like the moon in Virgo. But for the sun people, you could have inner planets like Mars and Venus and Mercury, as well as having the moon in Virgo. And that could lead you to have those tendencies anyway. And the point is that you are freeing yourself. Freedom is a very important thing. And you may realize this, is that you feel encumbered. And you want to kind of release that. And oh yeah, and Pluto. That's another thing we never talk about with Pluto, because I think this should be a conjunction with Pluto. Yeah, I think so, because Pluto's around that same degree. I don't have my ephemeris in front of me. I don't always pay attention to those other kind of things going on, but Pluto is in one of the latter degrees of Capricorn. So this could be a prime time for Libra individuals to purge your possessions. And especially if you are finding that you're just a shopaholic, you're just doing it too much, there's an excessive quality to it, maybe you're going to downsize. And this has to be the first step. First you got to get rid of those things, donate them, do something altruistic. That seems to be a key word. I swear to God, I didn't just learn that word and I want to use it everywhere. On the 21st, we have the winter solstice in the Northern Hemisphere. I like to call it the winter solstice. Sun going into Capricorn in that house as well. Just very focused on family and home at this time. 28th, Jupiter goes into Pisces. So Jupiter joins Neptune in that 8th house. In that 6th house. So Jupiter can give you a lot of work opportunities in 2022. And then I'll just give you a little preview, and also can give you luck with specialists if you need them. If you've got this weird illness that you can't put your finger on, the medical medium, I took that out of the library, and I didn't really get a chance to read it. I really would like to. It's a pretty. They have like an updated version, and I think that's the version to get if you want to read about his philosophy, or just read about him, because obviously he is a medium, and he was coming up with, there were like these mysterious illnesses, and they're like, they have names from, like, even I really shouldn't talk about it because I don't really know much about it, but it was like, I think there was like these autoimmune type of illnesses that people seem to be getting, and they can't really get any kind of treatment because it's like very subtle, some of these things that are going on within the body. So I am curious about that because I do enjoy books on health. I have the Moon in Virgo. So anyway, you might get some kind of help in this area, specialists, or you might be feeling better physically. And what else? Maybe doing Jupiterian, if that's a word, type of work, life coaching, spiritual consultations or healings. So, where was I going with that? Oh, well, I was just saying that this can give you a lot of work, but it can be very inspirational to others as well. So that's really great. Okay, that's what I have for you, Libra. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. I have been promoting my double readings because I'm pretty much, not always, when I have return clients, they will get a single reading. But a lot of times, because it's a good deal financially, these double readings are a discount, a pretty deep discount. And they give you an hour of natal chart interpretation with an hour of transits. So it's pretty comprehensive, and it's called a deep dive reading. I have other readings as well, and you can find out more information at the link below. I'm at RainaMoonAstrology.com. Thanks for listening. Take care. Bye.